On March 13th, 2020, while she and her boyfriend slept in the middle of the night, a group of police officers tore down her front door. Her boyfriend, afraid, instantly went into protection mode, grabbed his pew-pew, which he legally had a right to carry, and fired a shot. It was police officers who broke into their home. There was no knock, there was no announcement, so the boyfriend had no clue who had just broken into their home, which is why he fired the shot. And in response, police officers shot 32 times into their home, killing Breonna Taylor. At least 6 of those 32 shots that were fired by police officers hit Breonna Taylor. She died on the scene. The case of Breonna Taylor happened a few days after the case of George Floyd. There was outrage across the world. There was protests happening across the world. In the case of Breonna Taylor, in the state of Kentucky, the police officers were never appropriately charged. Why? Because then Attorney General Daniel Cameron said that those police officers were justified in murdering Breonna Taylor. After the angry calls and the pleas for justice, Daniel Cameron did a half-ass investigation, basically covering up for the police officers, and brought no charges for murder against them. However, he did recommend to a grand jury that one of the officers violated wanton endangerment or something like that, which meant that that police officer was being charged for endangering the lives to the people who lived in the apartment next to Breonna Taylor. This is Daniel Cameron, and he lost his bid to become governor for the state of Kentucky. Daniel Cameron is the protege, I call him the do-boy, of Mitch McConnell. Daniel Cameron's bid for the governorship was not only endorsed by Mitch McConnell, but also Donald Trump, which makes Daniel Cameron's loss to Andy Beshear that much sweeter. In my opinion, Daniel Cameron purposely sabotaged the investigation into Breonna Taylor. He covered up for those 3 police officers, and to try to appease the voices, he brought bullshit charges against one of the police officers. And as he presented the case to grand jurors in the state of Kentucky, after the whole process, some of those jurors came out publicly and were upset that Daniel Cameron basically submitted to them a bullshit case. They wanted charges for murder. And Daniel Cameron did it all for political clout and political power. He was once viewed as the rising star for the Republican Party because of what he did in the Breonna Taylor case. That star has now burned and fizzled out, and the Department of Justice has conducted their own investigation into those 3 police officers. And here are the charges that they brought against those 3 police officers. The 4 officers that were charged are Joshua James, Kyle Meany, Brett Hankinson, and Kelly Goodlett. The first indictment charges Joshua James and Kyle Meany with federal civil rights and obstruction offenses for their roles in preparing and approving a false search warrant affidavit that resulted in Breonna Taylor's death. The second indictment charges former Detective Brett Hankinson with civil rights offenses for firing his service weapon into Taylor's apartment through a covered window and covered glass door. The third charging document and information filed by the Department of Justice against Kelly Goodlett charged her with conspiring with James to falsify the search warrant for Breonna Taylor's home and to cover up their actions afterwards. This article goes into breaking out what happened, what they found in their investigation, and why they were charged or indicted on those charges. The article goes on to say all of the civil rights charges involve alleged violations of Title 18, United States Code Section 242, which makes it a crime for an official acting under color of law, meaning an official who is using or abusing authority given to that person by the government to willfully violate a person's constitutional rights. A violation of this statute carries a statutory maximum sentence of life imprisonment where the violation results in death or involves an attempt to kill. The obstruction counts charged in the indictments carry a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years, and the conspiracy counts carry a statutory maximum sentence of 5 years, as does the false statements charge. Actual sentences in case of conviction are determined by a judge. So in the end, 4 police officers were charged by the Department of Justice for civil rights violations in regards to the death of Breonna Taylor. Daniel Cameron, in my opinion, sabotaged the investigation into the murder of Breonna Taylor. He also insulted voters in Kentucky by bringing forth a bullshit charge against one of those police officers. As a result, Daniel Cameron has lost his bid for the governorship. I don't know about you, but I call that sweet justice by way of the ancestors. Breonna Taylor, rest in peace.